passo a palavra ao Dr. Pedro Esteves, que fará uma breve introdução à apresentação da doutora Ioana Dewandler.
Muito bom dia a todos. Good morning, Miss Ioana Dewandler. Please confirm if you can hear me well.
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect.
Before you take the floor, please allow me to share a few words with our audience. I will start in Portuguese and then resume in English. Coube-me a honra de fazer uma breve introdução ao próximo ponto desta sessão, que farei um pouco em mais detalhe em inglês para que a nossa convidada possa, obviamente, acompanhar. Ponto esse que ficará a cargo, como já foi referido, da doutora Ioana Dewandler, da Direção Geral da Educação e Ciência da Comissão Europeia, que gentilmente aceitou estar connosco hoje através de videoconferência. Aproveito para referir que a apresentação que ela irá efetuar será disponibilizada a todos os participantes e que haverá oportunidade para lhe colocar questões após a sua apresentação. Dear Ioana, on behalf of the organizers and participants, I would like to welcome you to this session and to warmly thank you once again for joining us today. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce you and your presentation. After almost 10 years working as a project and policy officer in the Directorate General for Research and Innovation, Ms. Ioana Dewandler is currently a policy officer in the Directorate General for Education and Culture, Unit for Higher Education, dealing with European Universities file, as well with other policy files, such as the upcoming Higher Education Package. Her past experience as Program Manager for Erasmus Plus covers the preparation and overall management of the current generation Erasmus Plus 2021-2027 program. She was also deeply involved in the drafting of this call, and I'm sure she will have many useful insights to share with us. Content-wise, her presentation will be focusing mainly on the policy objectives of the Erasmus Plus European Universities Call for Proposals 2022, the award criteria, as well as providing some brief information on the concrete elements for the call's text. As usual, today's presentation will be shared with all the participants, there will be room for questions and answers. Dear Ioana, I won't take any longer. Please take the floor.
Good morning. I hope you can hear me well. Thank you very much for this invitation. I am also very happy to to see a room full of people. It feels like the blessed time before the COVID, and I hope we can all rapidly come back to this more normal and lovely way of interacting and having meetings. So I'm very pleased to see you. Yes, thank you very much for putting the slides on. You heard about me. So I'm Ioana Dewandler, and I will try to give you a small gist of let's say of presenting the 2022 call for proposals for the European Universities Initiative. So if we can move on to the next slide, please. Thank you. Thank you. So I will start basically by presenting you a little bit the policy objectives of the call 2022. It is important to mention from the start that these council conclusions that this call for proposal is based on the Council conclusions on the European universities that the higher education ministers in the Union adopted in May 2021. So what did the ministers say? Well, basically they confirmed the concept of the European universities that we presented 3 years ago when the pilot phase has been launched. So I must say that the call is very much in continuity with what we had in the past. We are absolutely not starting from scratch. We are not reinventing or changing the initial idea of the European universities. So what do we expect from the European universities? Well, they are role models. They are laboratories for the transformation not only of the higher education institutions that are involved, but of the entire higher education sector. And in connection to that, you briefly mentioned in your introduction that the Commission has put on the table on Tuesday a European strategy for universities with a very long-term and ambitious vision, accompanied by a proposal for a council recommendation on basically removing barriers to transnational cooperation. So these two documents are now on the table. They have been presented, and the next step is to discuss them in the council with the member states, but also broadly with the stakeholders. I'm making this parenthesis because this is the important package launched this week, but I'm coming back to the call European Universities 2022. And I would like to underline that one of the very important objectives of this call that you will see it's also reflected in the award criteria is the balance between inclusion and excellence. So what do we mean by inclusion? We mean first that the call for proposal is open to all types of higher education institutions, that this call is aimed to support all types of learners, so be it students or being lifelong learners. What else do we mean by inclusion? Well, we refer to the geographical balance in the composition of the consortia. We want to be as broad as possible. We want all the regions in Europe to be represented: the north, the south, the east, and the west. And very importantly, to say from the start, this is a bottom-up call. So this is because we cherish the autonomy of the higher education institutions that will form the consortia, and we trust very much their creativity and their power to produce very meaningful and strategic alliances. So of course, we don't start from scratch. What do we have now so far? So we have, as you probably know well, we have 41 alliances, around 280 higher education institutions involved as direct partner in these alliances. Of course, the associated partners are much more than that. I think we're around 1,000 associated partners, if I'm not mistaken. And what did we hear from them? So they are now implementing their projects for a couple of years. So what they send us as a message from their implementation is they called for more funding, and they called for this funding to be more sustainable. So this, in order to allow them to implement their long-term vision and to support them in lifting barriers to cooperating transnationally in a deeper manner. This call for proposal in 2022 is one of the answers to these concerns that we want to put on the table. So we come up with a higher budget and we come up with a proposal for sustainable funding. Thank you very much. Perhaps we can go to the next slide. Yes. Merci. So, if we go down, let's say, more in detail to the call 2022, what are the main policy objectives? Well, let me say that they're very much the same as they were in the previous calls for proposals. So, for example, if we look at promoting European values and strengthening the European identity, well, we expect the proposals to do that by bringing together students and higher education institutions from different disciplines, from across Europe, to develop together knowledge, to learn, to work, and to do research in a joint collective manner. So what we want, basically what we expect, is to bring talent in higher education together in order to increase the quality and the competitiveness of the higher education sector. And to be honest, if we learned one thing during this terrible COVID pandemic, is that higher education institutions are stronger together. The cooperating transnationally, working together across all their missions, made them stronger and made them, let's say, allowed them to face better the COVID pandemic and its negative impact. Then, looking at this cooperation, the expectation is that this stronger cooperation happens at all levels of the institution. Why? Because we expect to have a systemic, structural, and sustainable impact of the European university alliances. So let me try to explain a little bit. The alliances are not about setting one single joint program at master level, for example, or having one joint project. No, we have, for doing that, we have a lot of other Erasmus Plus opportunities that are open here. What we want to have, what we want to obtain with the European universities is something much more ambitious. So this is not a simple call. It is not a simple call for classical project. What we would expect here is to have several projects under one single framework of the European universities, and that involving all levels of the institutions. We know, obviously, that this is very ambitious and that it requires a lot of commitment and a lot of involvement from everyone, from the rectors, the vice rectors, the deans, the staff, the researchers, the students. And we believe this is the way to bring us a step forward towards achieving the objectives of the European education area, the European higher education area, and the European research area. Next slide, please. Thank you. So if we're looking at the call 2022 in detail, I would like to focus on a couple of important elements. So the first one is what it is expected in terms of the mission statements that the alliances will propose. Well, the idea is for them to prepare and propose and defend in their proposal a long-term strategy with a view of, I don't know, 10, 20 years long. Where do you see the European University Alliance, where do you see your alliance with a long-term perspective? So the proposals will have to explain to the independent experts that will be evaluating the call this deep level of interinstitutional cooperation and how it will be reaching the sustainable, systemic, and structural impact on all the higher education institutions involved and across all their missions and all their activities. So I would like perhaps here to make a nuance. For those of you that had a look on the call text, you would have seen that the call is developed in two topics. One topic addressing existing alliances, and one topic new alliances. And I will come back to that in a few minutes. But with respect to this joint mission statement, to this long-term strategy, I just wanted to clarify that for topic one, so for those alliances that already exist, what it is expected is an update of this long-term mission statement, whereas for the alliances applying under topic two, so the newly formed bottom-up alliances, of course, there you can, of course, propose a completely new strategy. Next slide, please. Thank you. The second important element that I wanted to outline is the challenge-based approach and the transdisciplinarity. I think we could all agree that higher education institutions, they have a key role to play in the green and digital transitions and in supporting to tackle other major societal challenges like, I don't know, aging populations or health issues. So all these societal challenges, they're all transdisciplinary, and therefore they require a transdisciplinary response. So this is why we are expecting to see these challenge-based approaches in the proposals for this 2022 call. So of course, let me say that there are of course very different models to get there, and they're all welcomed and valued, and absolutely there is absolutely no one size or one model that fits all. So what is expected in the proposals is to demonstrate how your proposals will bring together the activities that are aiming to solve these societal challenges, and how you are going to bring together all departments, faculties in the higher education institutions that will bring, let's say, their own vision and perspective, and will look at the challenge from different complementary angles. So, for example, what we have seen so far within the 41 alliances that are already supported under Erasmus is that some of the alliances are focusing on one challenge, like climate change or health. Some others, they deal with several challenges. This is all basically depending on the structure and the capacity of the alliance and of its members. So I'm just trying to say that everything is possible. These alliances are supposed to be very bottom up, and there is no common model. Thank you. Perhaps we can go to the next slide, please. Perfect. So the other dimension of the European universities that I'm sure you are familiar with is putting in place this inter-university campuses at all levels, bachelor, master, doctorate, or short cycle, to deliver basically on the forward-looking skills that the society needs to solve the societal challenges that we were just mentioning. So for that, what we expect from the proposals is that the European University Alliances gives the possibility to a large majority of students to study and feel at home in all of the partners, higher education institutions in the alliances. So, for example, they could start their program in one country and then continue it in another country. Who knows? Perhaps getting a joint degree out of it. So this is the ambition. And how to get there? Well, we expect the alliances to propose innovative pedagogies based on the challenge-based and transdisciplinary approaches that we were just mentioning, giving the possibility of students from different countries to work together across disciplines and to work together with researchers, with entrepreneurs, with their professors, and also with the broader ecosystem of the universities, like cities and regions and civil societies, and of course hoping to engage their communities more. I would like also to mention that this initiative also has to benefit the staff, so the staff, the academic staff, the researchers, to ensure that that they have more flexible careers in different countries, on one hand, and that the value of research activities and teaching activities is recognized and valorized in the same manner. Next slide, please. So what we are proposing? We are proposing a long-term approach. We are proposing now under the call 2022, and of course this 4-year funding, which we hope to be able to bridge with another 2-year funding later on, following a separate evaluation process that will come later on. So we have heard, as I was saying, the call from the sector for more funding and more sustainable budget. So this is what we are proposing. If we look specifically at the call 2022, we have more substantial budget compared to the previous 2019 and 2020 calls. We had in the past 5 million euros for 3 years. Now the maximum new grant is 14.4 million euros for 4 years. We want to give existing alliances the opportunity to continue their endeavor based on their long-term strategy. This is the objective of the topic 1 of the call. The objective of topic 2 of the call is to form new alliances. Let's say, in addition to that, what we are proposing, also under topic 1 of this call for a proposal, is to give the alliances, the consortia, to the possibility to expand and add new partners. Of course, it is completely voluntary. It is completely up to the alliances, in line with their institutional autonomy, to decide whether they would wish to expand or not. I will come back to that in a few minutes. What I would like to say on the 2022 call, very important, this is a competitive call based on qualitative criteria, and it will be evaluated by independent experts. So both topics are competitive. Another novelty that I think it's important to mention is that the geographical scope for the associated partners has now been extended. So associated partners are those that do not receive EU funding, but this being said, they can be totally full active members of an alliance. So what we are proposing now is to open the possibility to have associated partners in the alliances open for the Bologna countries. Thank you very much. We could go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So, how did we get to this proposal? So, we did not work in isolation, obviously. The call for proposal is the result of deep and intense consultation with the higher education sectors and with the member states, and who actually in this interaction and consultation confirmed basically the concept of the European universities, the concept that we used in the first 2 calls. Of course, fine-tuned by the Council conclusions from May 2021 that I was just mentioning. So what do we have in the call? As we were saying, we had 2 topics. based on, they will be evaluated based on quality criteria, and they are fully open, both topics. So topic 1 is addressing existing alliances that aim to deepen their existing cooperation in line with the objectives that we were discussing a few minutes ago. So what does that mean? It means that an alliance has to demonstrate that they have at least between 2 and 3 years of deep cooperation at institutional level. They would need to explain how they will build basically on this existing cooperation to go a step further towards the fully fledged development of the European universities. So basically the alliances will need to describe their enhanced ambition and the activities of the alliances that they're planning to get to this enhanced ambition level. Topic 1, this is for topic 1. For topic 2, this is completely open for creating new alliances. It is entirely bottom-up, as we are saying, and it's an opportunity for the alliances to define a strategy for long-term based on the respective strength of their partners. So let me come back to the point I was mentioned before with respect to the size of the alliances. So whether they're new or existing alliances, topic 1 or topic 2, each alliance, of course, they have the right to determine the size of their alliances. And obviously this means that for topic 1, they are completely free to decide whether they wish to expand the consortium or not. Well, if this happens, if an alliance is expanding, what we are proposing is to offer them a financial incentive. Why we are doing this? Because we know how difficult it is to ensure that your alliance is running smoothly and to make an effort to expand to different faculties and to a broad body of students, and then add new partners. And we know that this represents effort and time investment for everyone. That's why we are proposing to give this financial incentive. So this expansion will be offered from the beginning of the grant agreement preparation, and it will be given in case the alliance reaches 9 full partners, or for the smaller size alliances if they increase with 2 more partners. If the alliance, if the consortium decides to take the step forward, then they will need to explain this from the proposal stage. So if you wish, the alliances will need to have a sort of a game plan from the start that they will need to put in their proposal. And if they do that, if they decide to expand, if they put this into their proposal, they have until the beginning of the 4th year of the grant funding to materialize this expansion. So again, I'm insisting on it. It is the choice of the alliances to take the step forward or not. Next slide, please. So I would like to walk you very briefly now on the award criteria. Perhaps I can start with a few general remarks. You will see in substance there is a great degree of continuity with the previous calls. The criteria are very much similar with what we presented in 2019 and 2020. This being said, the award criteria have a new architecture that you would have seen in many of the centralized action under the Erasmus call. This is a new corporate approach, so this architecture will appear in many other calls and initiatives under Erasmus and also under Horizon. These award criteria, another point to underline, is that they, as the rest of the call, are also reflecting and inspired from the Council conclusions on the European universities from May 2021. Last but not least, very important to mention that the same criteria apply to topic 1 and topic 2, with a slight nuance for topic 1 that I will present in a moment. And with respect with the expansion strategy that I was just mentioning a few minutes ago, the criteria apply in the exact same way, independently of whether your consortium decides to expand or not. So I think with that we can go to the next slide with the first criterion, which is relevance. It's worth 25 points, and obviously for topic 1 and topic 2, the expectations are for the alliances to be extremely ambitious. So I would like to come back to explain the slight nuance for topic 1. So the proposals will need to explain, because they are proposing, let's say, to continue an existing alliances of higher education institutions. So they will need to explain under the criterion of relevance for topic 1 how they build upon the existing cooperation and transformation processes that already exist under that existing alliances, that existing cooperation setting. So that is a very important element. On the European added value, as it was the case in the previous 2019 and 2020 calls, there are several dimensions to be tackled. So how the alliance is bringing the higher education institutions closer to the achievement of the policy objectives in the European higher education area and the European education area, and of course with synergies with the ERA, with the European research area. How the alliance.
Mas isso nunca convinha a ninguém. Não há nenhum momento em que convenha. As coisas são como são. E realmente, se ela está com esses sintomas se é mesmo verdade.
Sorry, I have some,
então essa história dos arrepios.
Apologies. Could you please? Yes, I think it's solved. Yes, apologies for the interruption. So I'm continuing with the European added value. Here the proposals will need to demonstrate how the alliances will be engaging with their peers, how they will be becoming role models, but also how they will be engaging with their communities and with the ecosystems around the higher education institutions. Last but not least, very important with regard to the transnational dimension. So how the cooperation will be benefiting to the students. Next slide, please. Moving on to the second criteria. This criterion, it's worth 50 points, so 25 points each for the project design and implementation and partnerships and cooperation arrangements. It is important for this part, for this criterion, to underline that what is expected in the proposal is to explain how you articulate basically the long-term vision, the strategy that the alliance is putting on the table, or the updated strategy for the existing alliances, how you articulate this with concrete activities that the alliance is planning to implement. And here again, very much in line with the previous calls, it is very much about the challenge-based approaches, the interdisciplinarity, the mobility, inclusion, diversity. Voila, this is, let's say, all this will have to be articulated around a robust work plan that is sufficiently detailed and that is accompanied by a solid monitoring mechanism to measure actually the process. Allow me a quick point on the geographical balance, which is under this criterion. allow me to say that geographical balance is as important as it was in previous calls. And what it is expected here is to demonstrate a strategic dimension of your choice. So how the geographical balance between the higher education institution and the alliance is serving the purposes of the long-term strategies proposed and the objectives of your alliance. Next slide, please. Yes, thank you. The last criterion is impact. So again, what the expectations are is to demonstrate how your alliance will reach a structural, systemic, and sustainable impact. The impact part is reflecting the Council conclusions of the European Universities in May 2021, as the rest of the call. Obviously, all the elements on this criterion are presented on the slide, but also in the call text that I invite you to consult in detail. So I would like perhaps to underline the dissemination part. Of course, it continues to be a very important element. It is expected to have a clear dissemination plan coupled with appropriate resources. Another important element is sustainability. Of course, it's very important for the alliances to demonstrate how the higher education institutions involved are planning to sustain this alliance with a longer term perspective beyond the Erasmus Plus funding period. This was, let's say, the most important part of what I wanted to share with you today. I have prepared a few more slides. These slides are presenting exactly the elements stated in the call text and are outlining just a few of the most important key elements of the call at a glance. So we have two topics. Perhaps we can quickly go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So we have the two topics. The duration of the grants is 4 years, 48 months. The total budget is 272 million euros. Next slide, please. In the next slide, actually, you have the presentation of the two topics and the ventilation of the budget. So as you can see, the bulk of the budget is for topic 1. Next slide, please. Here you can see who can apply, what are the eligible institutions. In the next slide, you will be able to see who can be an associated partners, and this we also briefly mentioned, the expansions towards the Bologna countries. The next slide is giving you a snapshot of the alliance composition, so minimum 3 eligible higher education institutions from 3 different eligible countries. You also have in the next slide a table which is indicating the maximum EU grant. You have also, again, I'm repeating it, all this information is to be found in the call text. And perhaps to close the presentation, I would like to show you the call planning. So we are now, let's say the call is open. The closing date is 22nd of March. The publication of the results will be indicatively towards the end of July, and we are hoping to be able to sign the grant agreements by the end of the year. So thank you very much for your attention. My last slide is putting at your disposal a set of useful links and contacts. We have organized on the 14th of December an open session on the call for proposal. The recording is online. It is a very detailed presentation. The first part is what we just seen today, but there is more in there, more detailed information about the application process, about the financial aspects. Last but not least, you have here on the bottom left of the slide, you have the address of our colleagues in the executive agency EASEA that are managing this call. So this email address is an entry point for asking questions to them. So please do not hesitate to put in there your questions. We will make sure you will be responded to them very quickly. And important to mention that our colleagues in the executive agency, in collaboration with us in DGEAC, we are preparing a set of frequently asked questions to help you with the application process. They will be released in the next days. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Is there any questions for Ioana? No? No question? Thank you, Professor.
Okay, so thank you very much for your presentation. I have a question related with the alliances in the second year. So, is it supposed to have a similar color to the one you were introducing us next year for the second group of alliances?
Should I respond immediately, or do you want to take a few questions from the audience? I can respond if it's fine for you.
There is one more question. Ioana, just a moment.
Thank you for your presentation. I just would like to ask you to elaborate still a little bit more on what concerns the typology of the applications. And regarding the typology 1, what can you still tell us related with the concept of deep cooperation? I give the example of an alliance constituted to prepare an application for 2020. It hasn't been approved, but since then the alliance is working, developing projects together, preparing applications and running projects together, preparing joint programs. Is this a deep cooperation once it lasts since 2019? Thank you.
Ioana, I think you can answer, please. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much for these questions. So the first one was about whether there will be a similar call in 2023. yes, let's say this is our proposal. We would like to, from the Commission side, to propose a similar structure of the call in 2023, and to open in 2023 one of the topics to the participation of the European University Alliances selected under the 2020 call, but not only. So indeed, it is important to underline that these two topics are completely open and bottom up, and this is let's say linking with the next question on the typology of the call. Indeed. So I can perhaps give you a broader picture. Why are we doing this? We have, as you know, around 1.1 billion euros allocated for the European University Alliance under the 2021-2027 Erasmus Plus program, which is a lot. Now we are, of course, we have to observe what is called a budgetary profile. So we have to observe, let's say, the fact that the funds that are allocated for one sector, here higher education, has to account for first the other actions under the higher education funded through Erasmus, so other cooperation and other mobility actions, but also for the other sectors. And this is every year. This is why we decided to do the call in 2022 in this way. So to have a part that is dedicated to sustainable funding, and the second part to allow new alliances to form, because we saw that there is a big momentum about that. So when I'm saying we decided, it's not the Commission alone, obviously. We are just putting the proposal. The decision is being taken by the member states, and I would like to emphasize this. So the member states in the program committee, in the Erasmus program committee, they are the ones deciding. So this will be the case also for 2023. Our objective is to do that, is to propose a similar type of call for 2023, but this is subject to the approval of the member states in the Erasmus Plus program committee, and of course it's subject to the approval of the overall budget for the EU programs by the budgetary authority, which is the European Parliament and the Council with the member states. So this is our plan. Now, coming back to the second question, yes, we have under the topic 1 of this call the possibility we want to give the possibility to alliances of higher education institutions, including the European Universities Alliances selected under the 2019 call to participate. What we are saying in the call, and I would like to invite you to look at the call text, it says specifically that this cooperation has to happen for a period of between 2 and 3 years minimum, could be longer, obviously. And it has to be very ambitious and to have to happen at institutional level. So it is a bit, let's say, going beyond a consortium that would have, for example, a project submitted for a cooperation action under Erasmus. So this would go further. This would have, let's say, it would have to respond to the ambition of the that is put in this call, so to have this very broad scope. So this an important element to be mentioned is that the evaluation will be done by by independent experts. So they will be the ones who will be evaluating whether this deep cooperation that we're talking about is matching the ambition. Voilà. Maybe I can stop here for now. Maybe there are other questions.
Ioana, there is one more question.
Thank you very much, Ioana, for your comprehensive and insightful presentation. My question is about the fact that as these alliances are also expected to bridge education, research and innovation, and has it happened previously, will there also be funding from Horizon Europe for these alliances or not? Or do you happen to know something about that? Thank you very much.
Thank you for this question. This is indeed a very important point, and we have been receiving a lot of calls from the sector to have a sort of a more streamlined support from both Erasmus and Horizon Europe. What we also understood from the sector, and this is what the 2022 call tries to explain and to propose, is that the priority was basically to avoid that there are funding gaps, that the alliances of higher education institutions that have this long-term vision, that they are sort of interrupting in their dynamic of implementing it. This being said, as you know, out of the 41 alliances, European University alliances selected under Erasmus, I think 39, following a competitive call, they were selected also for funding under Horizon 2020. But these R&I activities, so the Horizon 2020 funds were to help the alliances develop their vision also on the research and innovation side. But we are now at the very early stage. This is what I want to say. The first project, so the one selected under the 2019 Erasmus calls, the Horizon 2020 funding has started only in 2021, and I think for the 2020 the funding just started now very recently. So what do we need? And not only us, but also the member states who will be taking the decision in the end, is we need to see progress on how this research and innovation work packages are progressing. So we need this progress for the member states to be able to take an informed decision on the allocation of the Horizon Europe funding. Of course, let's say it is clear, and I want to underline the fact that the increased budget for Horizon Europe will absolutely open new opportunities, and the support for the European University Alliances is embedded in the legal basis of the new Horizon program for 21-27. So support will come. I want to be reassuring about that. It will come. It will come in due time. But we are now, let's say, at a very early stage, and because the funding period from Horizon 2020 for the 2019 and 2022 pilot European University Alliances, obviously new funding cannot start already this year, because this would mean double funding for those alliances. So yes, we have to wait, but funding will come in due time. Thank you.
Any more questions for Ioana? Professor Manuel has another question. Just a moment, Ioana, please.
regarding the budget for this call, I think it's about 220 million euros. So is already any type of breakdown between what will be used to support the continuity of the running alliances? So how will it be treated, the problem of having together running alliances applying at the same time as new alliances? So how will this problem be treated?
Thank you very much for this question. So if the organizers could kindly put back my slides on, I think we have a slides on that. I think it's slide number 14, if I'm not mistaken. So perhaps I can start explaining before the slides arrive. So the total budget of the call is 272 million euros. And we have separated it in two topics. So there is a budget, predefined indicative budget of 225 million euros for the topic 1, and 46.4 million euros that are dedicated for topic 2. So for the development of new alliances. So this is the ventilation. They will be, of course, the proposals will be received for each of the topic. They will be evaluated for each of the topic independently. This is why in the call text we have two sets of award criteria for each of the topic, and they are very, very similar. They're practically exactly the same. The nuance is for topic 1, if you want, and this is linked with the previous question on what is expected under topic 1. So what will the experts evaluate in there? Basically, it's a question of starting point. So where do you put your starting point? You put your starting point after what you have achieved in your alliance after 2-3 years of deep cooperation at institutional level. This will be the starting point, and then the ambition and the activities and the mission statement will have to be a projection of what you want to achieve in the next 4 years, building on what you had in the past. And for the topic 2, the starting point can be basically anywhere, because this will depend very much on the higher education institutions in the alliance and their strength and their cooperation. Perhaps I can stop here. I see the slide. The slide. Perhaps could we retrieve the slide? So it's the second slide after the impact slide. I don't know if the kind organizers managed to find this. So if you go towards the end of the presentation, this one, yes, no, the one before. Voila, this is the slide where you have the detail of the ventilation of the budget for each of the topic. And perhaps I can complement with an information. There will be a certain degree of permeability between the two topics. We don't know at this stage. So these budgets are indicative, if you want, because we don't know at this stage how many proposals we will be receiving and how they will be evaluated, what will be their quality, and how much money. It's also a question of with respect to the expansion strategy. So we don't know how much money we will spend under topic 1 to support the alliances that are evaluated above the positive threshold. If by any reason there will be some remaining money in there. This money could be transferred to topic 2 to allow more alliances to be funded. So this is perhaps another element to clarify. I stop here. I hope I responded to your request for clarification. Thank you.
I have a question. In terms of the significance of the money, in terms of the real expansion rates, what are the expectations, the realistic expectations for example, the meaning of that expansion in terms of numbers? I mean, we look at the millions, but I don't know what that means in terms of realistic expectations. Are you foreseeing that will be covering, I don't know, do you have any indicators of what would be expected realistically, both in terms of expansion, number of alliances, and, for example, number of new universities per alliance? Do you have any kind of these thoughts?
I think that is, let's say, an important question. Of course, this very, very much depends on what, let's say, what would be the size of the alliances that we will be receiving, the number of proposals also, and how they will be evaluated by the independent experts. So. Obviously, at this stage, let's say, we have absolutely no idea of how many of the alliances will take this decision to expand, to add new partners or not. This is totally up to them. So we don't know, let's say, but the anticipation, we don't know exactly at this stage because this is an open call. But I think let's say, if we look at the perspective of where we are now and what we want to achieve. And this was also something that we mentioned in the strategy for the universities that was presented on Tuesday, is that this initiative, let's say, it should not be for the happy few. It should be something that is inclusive. It should be an initiative where not only big universities, can apply and get funding, but it should be open for everyone. This was the meaning of the proposal. So we are now at 41 alliances. We have around 280 participants, perhaps a little bit more. So this represents roughly 5% of all the higher education institutions in Europe, the 5,000 of them. The political objective is to bring us closer to the objectives of 10%. So the objective is that by 2024, 2025, to get to around 60 alliances funded under Erasmus+, and around 500 European universities involved in the initiative overall. So yeah, exactly the numbers we don't have them, but of course, because this is not in our hands, it is with the proposers to surprise us with great, beautiful, and ambitious proposals. So this is why we cannot, let's say, be very precise at this stage.
Ioana, we have one more question.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, Rita Falcão from Nova University Lisbon. We just joined, or in September we joined Utopia Alliance, along with 3 more partners. And one of the things, we were very well received by this, all the partners, the initial partners of the Alliance. However, it is quite difficult to join the activities of the Alliance at this stage because they're still very linked with the initial funding. And even in formal terms with the connection with the European Commission, even though we all signed an agreement, so we're already part of the Alliance, we're struggling to join some of the activities because they are still linked with the initial proposal. So I think it would be a good idea for the European Commission to create some opportunities. It can be some informal opportunities for the new universities that joined existing alliances. Also some funding opportunities, because we've been traveling and we've been trying to integrate some of even the additional funding they had in Horizon 2020, but still always at our own costs. And so I think it could be, it's interesting because I know the new call, and in the new call we are going to be formal partners, and there will be additional funding for the alliances that enlarged. So this is, I think it's a very good initiative. But in this stage we're in a limbo of funding, and even though they are making a strong effort, the initial partners, I think the Commission also should create some different opportunities. Thank you. I don't know if you have any thoughts on this. Thank you.
Yes, I would like to thank you very much for your enthusiasm, and also for all the efforts that you're putting into, if I understood correctly, joining a new alliance that will apply for sustainable funding. If I understood correct, this is this is what you were explaining. And of course, we know that this is a difficult process. We know that it's difficult for both the universities that have to jump on a train that is already running, because they need to adapt, they need to find their way and their pace. And it's also difficult for the alliances that are already in place to let's say, interact with new partners while expanding, trying to pass to a different level. Because as we see it, the alliances are now at a sort of a turning point. So they are, let's say, moving out of the pilot phase and going to, let's say, towards a fully fledged European university alliances, where they want, where well, they are expected actually to go broader, to engage more departments, more faculties, more students, more staff, more researchers into the activities of their alliance. And we know that is a considerable effort, and this is why we proposed to offer more funding for those that are, let's say, deciding to expand. And of course, it is important to mention that when you will be joining a new alliance as a new member, you will be joining as a full partner. So the financial incentive and the expectation of this expansion strategy is that the universities are joining as full members. Full members meaning that, of course, they will have to receive and implement a part of the budget. but it's true that for the preparatory phases, as you said, there is there are no support actions, but we do understand your efforts. So point taken, and thank you for putting this this request and this idea on the table, because indeed it's very important. If you would allow me to go back to the previous questions, because I was quickly doing a couple of checks. Of course, for the topic, so it was a question of how many proposals I think are expected to be funded under topic 1 and topic 2. Well, I was looking again at the budgets, and I think that depending on their side, I think we can say, but of course this is a rough estimation, because as I was telling you, we have no idea of what kind of proposals we will be receiving, with how many partners and how they will be evaluated. So this being said, I think that for topic 1, it would be roughly around 20 alliances, perhaps a little bit less if they're all very big. And for the topic 2, looking at the budget and looking also at the maximum EU grant table, depending again on their size, there should be around, I don't know, 3 to 5 alliances. But this is, don't take this information with a pinch of salt. It's not carved in stone. It depends very much on the proposals, and we will see all that later on, end of March, when we will have all the proposals on the table. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ioana, for your presentation. I hope they will send you many questions, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. All the best, and have a good conference. Thank you all for being there. Thank you very much. Yeah, all the best. Bye-bye.